Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and today we're going to be doing a movie review on David Cronenberg's The Brood, which was released in 1979, gets a 6.8 on IMDb by David Cronenberg, also written by him. Now, The Brood is a film that I've been meaning to see for a while. Finally got around to watching it. And I must say, David Cronenberg is easily one of my favorite directors out there. I mean, The Fly is just, to me, a perfect film. This is going to sound stupid to say, but you can't remake that version of The Fly. His Fly was something that I think was a very important film, not just for horror films, but just for film in general. It's just a movie. Like, yeah, it's a horror film, but I just think it's a movie, like a great movie. That's just, to me, genius, well executed, well acted. Should have gotten awards. I believe it. Did it get nominated for an award, or it won an award or something like that? Deserved more. I just can't praise the 1986 Fly enough. That's a great movie. Also, seen Videodrome. I was a pretty big fan of it. I really enjoyed Videodrome. I'm also a pretty big fan of Scanners. Huge fan of Scanners. That movie really surprised me back when I first seen it. Love Scanners. And I also must say I really enjoyed The Brood. So far, David Cronenberg, I've been checking out his films, and all of them are great. This one, though, was one of his earlier films. I mean, I believe he made this, then what did he make? Shivers before this? He may have made, like, 2 movies before this one, but this is one of his earliest films. And I must say, this is a really kind of a brave film for what it did back in the day. I mean, thinking about how old this movie was, this is 79, and they're doing stuff like, you know, maybe like they touch on certain topics like, you know, families. Like, there's this mom dealing with mental issues, that maybe she's abusing her daughter. There's just a lot of heavy stuff on maybe people that are struggling with mental health issues. So it tackles a lot of subjects, and I can really appreciate how this film does tackle some very real horrors in the world. And the movie's plot is very basic. I mean, you have this wife who is crazy, absolutely crazy, and she has gone to see this, I guess you could say, psychiatrist. He's going to try and help get her back in a good mental state of mind. And he's a great actor. I want to get the names of the cast, because I thought the cast of this movie was absolutely wonderful. Dr. Hal Reagan, Oliver Reed, who's a great actor. Oliver Reed's been in plenty of films. Very, very good actor. At least I believe that was him. And now IMDb is messing up. Yeah, IMDb is now glitching. I don't know why. But Samantha Edgar playing Nola, Art Hendel playing Frank, Henry Beckman playing Barton. Barton. But you have this doctor who is doing... He's doing basically therapy for this woman, trying to get her back into a good state of mind. And basically these weird murders start happening. And you start finding out that there are these killer kids. These kids running around killing people. And they're really deformed. And you're trying to figure out like what is happening. Like, through the whole movie, you're kind of just wondering. It's a slow burn up to the end of where you finally get an answer of what is happening. And the ending is very well done, where you realize that the mom had been getting these bumps on her skin. And I took her to the doctors, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And what actually it is she grows these killer kids out of her skin. And it's a very bizarre, very strange idea. It's an idea that could have really not worked, to be honest, if it wasn't done well. But David Cronenberg with this, with Videodrome, with scanners. You look at it on the surface, you're like scanners. Like, oh man, telekinesis stuff, making people's heads explode. They can use their minds to go into like devices and technology and stuff. That sounds stupid. But the way it's done, I think it works 100%. Here it's like, what? Something growing out of a person's skin and the killer kids, what is this? But the way it's done is very effective. Videodrome. Videodrome is a movie that you just gotta watch. You can't explain Videodrome to somebody other than it's the blending of the show and reality. This guy begins to lose his mind, but a lot of it is just what you see in that movie, Videodrome. Here it's like that, where it's a very slow build, very slow burn. I will say that it's a very slow burn. Probably the most slow burn Cronenberg movie I've seen yet. And I've seen The Fly, I've seen Scanners and Videodrome. And Videodrome isn't exactly fast paced. So when I say this is a slow burn, this is a very, very slow burn film. It's all kind of like Audition, where it's all lead up to one part of the end of the film. And in a way, it works, but another way it can kind of... We'll get into that in a second, but first of all, I want to say, as far as positives go, I mean, this cast is wonderful. The leads are great. A couple of side characters I really enjoyed, and it was definitely a pretty interesting story. The story was something that was very unique. Again, a very brave thing to tackle so many different subjects, like just the various array of things they discussed in this movie. I thought was very interesting, and I respect the fact that they were able to tackle these subjects in film. I also enjoyed the effects. The effects that are there are phenomenal. I mean, the end of the movie is very shocking, where you find out that the lead, well, I wouldn't say she's the lead, but she's kind of like the main villain, I guess you could say, of the movie, where you think that maybe she's abusing her daughter because the daughter has like bruises all over her. And it's really not her, it's these children that she doesn't really give birth to. They just grow off of her. And they grow into these like fleshy, I don't know what to say, like very fleshy cocoon type things, and she just breaks it open. It's a very disgusting and bizarre scene, but it's definitely a very horrifying moment where she just breaks the flesh away, and there's the fetus, and she begins to lick it. Very, very disturbing scene, a very shocking scene, and the ending did its job. It was horrifying. The ending was just absolutely terrifying and creepy and unsettling. The direction I thought was very solid by David Cronenberg. There's definitely an atmosphere. There were a lot of beautiful shots, beautiful cinematography. I also enjoyed the music, a really classic score here in this film. I also really enjoyed the poster. The poster is very cool looking, which this isn't really the poster, this is a different cover, but if you see the poster, which I'll be using for the thumbnail, I love that poster. Very, very cool poster. So positives, great acting, it's well filmed, well directed, it's got a really interesting story to it. One thing I want to mention real quick is that I've never really seen this done in other films yet. Maybe it's because I haven't watched all horror films, but there's a really interesting thing that's done in this movie where, you know, the doctor, the therapist guy, is able to somehow get into these people's memories and use, I guess, hypnosis, you could say, to, like, let's say he wanted to be learning this person's past, so he'll get into their mind and pretend that he's their dad or he's their wife or husband. And he'll use that to kind of get answers out of them, to see how they really are as a person. And the movie opens up with a really bizarre thing where this guy with cigarette burns all over him, and the therapist is playing this father who is saying, you know, we should have called you another name. You know, you don't look me in the eye. That's something that a weak person does. And he's belittling this person. You're wondering what's going on here, and you realize he's hypnotizing them and I guess getting in their heads and playing various key elements in their memories, such as fathers, husbands, wives. Very interesting idea. I've never really ever seen a movie do that before, so it's very original. I've never seen it done before. Very, very different, so that was pretty cool. And it led to some pretty intense parts of the film. The film is very suspenseful. It's a old school horror film that I miss when they used to do stuff like this, where it was a build up, like The Shining. It was a build up. It was all just this presence, this darkness that you're not sure of. You're wondering what the answer is, and it builds and builds and builds to the very end. And I miss horror films that were more, I guess you could say, patient with its scares. It was allowing the audience to really get into the story. I miss films that used to do stuff like this, and The Shining and The Thing, where you could just sit down and it is an hour and it's probably almost 2 hours to be honest, but it's done in a way that's effective for me, and it can suck you into the world and really get you to the characters and the story. I think it's better, honestly. Like films like this and The Omen. Like The Omen 2 is another slow burn kind of movie. Or The Exorcist. You're taken in slowly. You're not immediately shown something like a monster or anything like that. You're just, eased into the horror film. So then when the horrifying moments do happen, I feel like it's more effective that way. That's just how I look at it. Like the slower the build, as long as the payoff is good, that just works beautifully when it's slowly built up like The Shining. Like The Shining's build up is absolutely wonderful as far as being a horror film. But yeah, it's a movie that I think is well made, well filmed. Really enjoyed it. Definitely a very awesome plot, interesting plot, very original take. As far as problems go, I really can't think of any, to be honest. I mean, maybe the runtime. It is a slow movie. Like the movie, I will say, and it's not really a bad thing. I won't even really say it's a bad thing. I guess I'm just saying it for more as I know certain people don't like slow burn movies. Like people don't like The Shining. They don't like The Thing, which is just that's crazy to me. But we all have our opinions. It's fine. But I know some people don't really like these slow burn movies. The ones that literally the whole movie is just built up to the end of the film. So I will, I guess, not say it's a problem, but I will warn, I guess, people it is a slow movie, very, very slow movie. Not necessarily boring, just very, very, you just gotta have patience with it. Very, very patient horror film. Another thing that I will say is I wish there was a little bit more happening in the movie. Because really the only thing that you get is it's pretty much a slasher movie. I mean, you're seeing people getting killed one by these killer kids. And creepy scenes, but they're very spaced out. And I feel like with Exorcist 3 it's the same thing, where if that movie didn't have the Exorcist ending, which I've seen the original cut of the Exorcist 3, it's actually included on Blu-ray, but if you don't have those supernatural popcorn, I guess you could say, elements where it's all for entertainment, or you don't have any jump scares or the ending, the exorcism, the film it'd be good, it'd be great, but it's a very slow moving movie. Here it's the same thing where I kind of wish there was a little bit more before the end, because before the end happens it's pretty much a slasher film. You're just seeing people getting killed off one by one, and the lead guy trying to figure out what's going on basically throughout the film. And I just kind of wish there was a little bit more, like, I don't know, more stuff going on, I guess you could say. Not a bad thing. Again, not a bad thing, just something that I kind of wish would happen, like, towards the beginning of the movie, maybe something more stuff was going on. But to be honest, for what it is and what it does, I think it's a perfect horror film that is extremely well done. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Very classic film. I really enjoyed The Brood. I think it's a great movie. Definitely a classic. The Brood. Yeah, big fan of The Brood. 8 out of 10. Like I said, very well made, very well filmed, very well acted. The effects are really good. The only thing I really say is that it's a really slow movie, but I love slow horror films. It doesn't really bother me at all. But Yeah, very mysterious, very suspenseful, very dark, tackles some very dark subjects, but I think it's a well-made film. And The Brood, I can definitely recommend. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on The Brood. Do you like the film? Do you not? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. And I'll see you guys later. The Explorer 4 is out. Peace, guys. Have a good night.